Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the BNI Partners in Excellence show. As you can see, I have my Comfort City mechanical mug. Well, not mug, cup. What do you call this? A blender? Tumbler? A blender? What's a blender? Hey,
whatever you like to call it.
We got a tumbler blender right at the beginning.
Yeah,
a tumbler blender from Andy. Hey,
it's a cup of coffee. That's what it is.
It's a cup of coffee. So I have today with me Frank Egypt. Frank, thank you for coming to the show. Welcome.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, thank you for the cup. I appreciate it. So the first thing that happens is he goes, hey, this is for you. And it's a box. I got my Comfort City mechanical ink tumbler. This thing is awesome, man.
This is a shameless plug, so you guys know, by the way. So that's what that was. I noticed that Andy always has his cup right next to him, and I want to pilfer that space for my own well-being. So,
hey, I'll tell you what, though. This is, I think, the first other cup to make it, other than like the Buc-ee's one I used in Irune's episode, because I brought that Buc-ee's mug back from Florida with me. I was like, I'm going to use my Buc-ee's mug today. But now I got my Comfort City mechanical one, too, man.
So, now I just expect to see that on you at all times.
Every time.
Every episode now, I need to see my Comfort City cup.
This episode has been brought to you by...
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you $10 a month for promo.
We put like a little price tag on the side. This spot has been sold for $20.
Exactly.
How about you said 10? I automatically doubled it to 20. Wow.
Well, listen,
okay.
Listen, that's what negotiation comes in, right?
Oh my God. So 15? Okay. We need 15.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah,
Good.
13,
Good. Deal.
exactly,
The 13. Oh, 13. Wait. At the last
right
minute.
Before,
at the last minute.
Before the closing handshake, you're already shook on it.
Oh man, this thing's off the rails and we're just started. I'm so glad to have you here, man.
Yeah,
like,
I'm so glad to be here.
I know you're relatively new to the chapter, but like honestly, when I say that, I honestly feel like that kind of it matters and it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really matter at all because you're not new to BNI.
I'm not new to Earth.
And you're not new to the planet.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. I'm just the guy.
But you have like a BNI story because I know that because of how you end up coming to BNI.
Yeah.
And I know you knew other members in our chapter even before coming here from the other chapter. So I want to talk about some BNI stuff. I obviously want to talk about your company, what you do, how that all got going, and then your own story, like just more about you. Like we learn if we're sitting down doing a one-to-one and just kind of where you came from, what you're about, and all that stuff. So we can go all those places.
Sure.
Awesome. I like your glasses, by the way.
Thank you.
Like I have this appreciation for like cool style things that like I see about other people. Like I could never do that. Yeah. Even hairstyles, not to be jokey. I'm just like, I look at hairstyles. I'm like, dude, that looks so cool on that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
and I'm
the
like,
minute
I couldn't
details,
do
that. You could pull it off. I don't believe you could pull it off. It's just,
what?
It's just the confidence
hair
behind it. We could pull the hair off. I've definitely seen the new man units that they have going around where people get these things glued to their head. You can't even tell the difference. So
are you sure? Are you for real?
Option.
You can't really tell. Like they're that good.
Yes, they're that good now. You cannot tell. They use glue, the whole nine. We'll get to that.
Can I at least reserve the right to make my own judgment when Ray Batar does it first?
Yes.
Okay.
You can
Ray Batar. Ray Batar.
We'll write it down, Ray.
Frank and I have decided that I can choose if it's actually worthy or not once you do it first.
We love Ray, man. Yeah, he definitely would be the perfect person.
Submit someone else up for first to do it first.
That's the way to do it. That's the way it happens in life, right?
So I love your glasses. Michael Keith has cool glasses too.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
He's always like he's got a couple different pair. I'm like, damn, they look good on him. Like,
yeah, it's all glass. The good thing about wearing glasses, obviously, is you can be unique in your style and your individuality. And it's when you wear the same thing all the time, it's cool to be able to kind of have something
that's different.
That's different, exactly.
I got this new pair of glasses not too long ago. My wife goes, "Oh, those your new glasses?" I'm like, "Yeah, you like them?" She goes, "You look like your dad." I was like, "Well, these are trash." Right away.
That's probably one of the worst insults that we can get as human beings. That we look exactly like our parents.
Unfortunately, I know our optometrist Pete. I was like, "Yo, Pete, Jen hates those glasses. I need a new pair." And I just got like my prescription changed. I'm like, oh, she hates them because I was on my own. Like, right, maybe this is why some wives be like, "Yeah, I can't send my husband to do the thing for themselves." Yeah. Because I picked these glasses. Oh, I like these glasses. The second I come home, she goes, "Those look like your dad's." I'm like, "Oh, bro, I'm out of here."
I don't have to worry. My wife, actually, she enjoys the way I put myself together. So I don't really have to worry about that piece. But I pick up the wrong things all the time from like the grocery store and stuff. So
you have that one. So you're that meme? Yes. You're the wrong stuff at the grocery store meme guy?
I'm like sitting there on the phone trying to get in contact with her. Yeah, I'm that meme guy.
Like the wrong item or just the wrong brand of the item?
The wrong brand of the item.
Got it. Okay.
Brand matters to her. Trust me. The brand.
Well, there are
100%
some
matters.
things that are better than others. Like, okay, so let me offer an example. My wife makes amazing homemade tortillas. Okay, but like if you get the wrong flour, not just like the wrong type of flour, but the wrong it just doesn't have the same consistency as the ones that everyone in the house likes and loves.
Yeah.
Like that's an example.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my wife is a traditional Mexican woman, and she likes things the way that she likes them, and she knows her brands that she wants. So I don't argue, I just call because I don't want to make the mistake. I will sit in the grocery store to grab one thing for 30 minutes until she picks up my phone call. I don't care. I don't want to show up at home with the wrong item. I just
The
don't.
grocery store manager, we've got a guy on aisle 6. He's been standing there for 30 legit minutes.
Look at that cans of beans. Yeah.
Okay. We better, okay.
Even though
That's
I see these
amazing.
beans every day, I want to make doubly sure that I don't grab the wrong ones,
Got it.
Because I have been known to make that mistake for sure.
So let's talk about things you don't make mistakes in.
Yeah.
Business. Look, I make mistakes in business too, but let's talk about business a little bit. Let's talk about business and networking.
Yeah.
So BNI Partners in Excellence,
Yes.
you've come to the chapter recently. You have a BNI story that comes with you. So
I do.
catch us all up for those who don't know that you actually came from another chapter. So where were you? What were you doing? How'd that go? And then what brought you here?
So I was a member of another chapter during COVID, right? I don't know if that's going to have to be silenced or not.
No.
I know that's a
Uh-oh,
buzzword.
someone said COVID on the internet.
Exactly. I know that's a buzzword sometimes. So we were meeting online. The chapter was a Chula Vista chapter as well. I was in the group with Mark Garza from BNI
GRI Investigations.
GRI
Yeah.
Investigations. Thank you for doing that.
His office is around the corner, and half the time I see him outside my window, just like looking in and stuff.
He's just looking in your window.
He'll text me. He'll text me like legit. He'll text me sometimes, be like, "Hey, I see you at the office." I'm like, "Thanks, wonderful. Thanks for looking out."
Don't you have anything else to do, Mark?
But I park my car in the same spot normally, so he's like, he knows when I'm here. I'm
But
kind of
you know,
announcing it.
in these groups, typically you have your people that you communicate more with, and you talk more with, and that's the way Mark and I were. That group, just because it was 100% online and it was a newer chapter at the time, kind of started to dissolve itself, or I don't know if it's cannibalizing itself, dissolving itself, whatever you want to say, but it just wasn't going to be around anymore. So I stepped away from that group, and it's not like I didn't enjoy it, but there is definitely something to meeting someone face to face, shaking their hands, having a genuine conversation, getting to know what makes people tick. You can have as many Zoom meetings as you want, but it feels a little cold, a little stale, right? You can have, genuine relationships built with people, but unless you're able to breathe the same air as that person, there's always going to be an air of indifference.
Yeah, it's kind of like close, but not 100%. Like
Exactly. It's like a pen pal, basically.
a pen pal.
Yeah. So,
I'm chuckling. It's the first time I heard someone say the word pen pal about it. But yeah, I get that.
I mean, to date myself a little bit, but
No, I
that's
get
okay.
I get the. I'm saying I get the analogy. I
Yeah.
can see why you would like use that term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, from there, I went a while without, having a group. And then, I did some work for Mark, and I would talk to him quite often to do preventive maintenance service on his HVAC system at his house because we installed his system. And so we would go out there to do work, and I would talk to him all the time. And he's like, "Hey, I'm a part of a new group. I'm actually, the vice president of the chapter. You should come out." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna be, 100% honest. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that's gonna, necessarily move the needle for me or not, because I didn't learn the appreciation for it in person. Again, I am a naturally gregarious person, so I can get along with anybody, anywhere. But there's, like I said, something to be said about that in person, in touch feel, when I can stare you directly into your eyes and know you're not thinking about a lasagna or something like that. I know that you're actually engaged in our conversation, right?
Now I am.
Well,
like Garfield over here,
I know.
lasagna.
See, I put that into your head for a reason. We'll get back to that later.
Come back to the lasagna. No, lasagna. Follow up at end of show.
I'll do a callback. I'll figure it out sometime in the conversation. But so he would often ask me if I wanted to come. He wouldn't pressure me. And then actually I reached out to him one day. I was like, you know what? I didn't necessarily have a bunch of free time, but 7 a.m. typically works for me. That's before my workday starts. I mean, normally that's getting the kids ready for school and drop-offs and everything like that. But I talked to my wife, and she was like, yeah, I don't mind doing these things because we work together to make the family thing happen. And, I was like, yeah, I'll check out one. And so obviously I show up, and I just see the, camaraderie of the group. I see the level of conversation going on, which didn't always border on cold business conversation. It was around community, right? And just to see that community when you don't know what you need until sometimes you see it, right? And to have a group of people that think like you, that have the same drive that you do, even if it's in different disciplines, but they have the same unique drive every day to get better, to achieve a common goal. And, it's like a drug. I was hooked, from my first day there. And, I told Mark, hey, I'm definitely going to join the group. What should I do? He's like, hey, how about you come a few more times just to make sure, Now I'm moving too fast, right? Now I'm asking for commitment
You're
too
like,
soon.
I'm not sure. Will you marry me?
Exactly. So, he's like, just come a few more times, make sure you still like it. And, obviously, I've enjoyed it. And, I've had a lot of great conversations with a lot of great people. To me, this time around, my goal is to try and work for other people, basically. Try to do my best to, not necessarily. I think the first time my single-mindedness was, what can I get from the group? And I think that I've changed and I think that's a lot of the way most of us approach it initially. Right? Because you go into it, it's an investment initially as well. So it's like, okay, I need to at least see X, Y, and Z on my returns to do it again. This time around, my priority, excuse me, is to do what I can to help my partners expand and grow. Because even if they're going up, they're pulling me up with them, basically. But overall, I just want to see them be successful, and I want to play a hand in that success as well.
And it is kind of one of those like unspoken expectations we have for and of one another. It's like, oh, I'm expecting that you're working on my behalf. Like, that's just what this whole thing is for, right? But you're also, you should be expecting that from me too.
Yeah.
So my participation as a member is to ultimately drive relationships that cause outcomes for you that benefit your business.
Exactly.
And that's also what I hope everyone does. It's kind of like, well, you expect me to show up on Wednesday. Well, yeah, I'm expecting you to be there too, because we expect that we're going to see each other.
Exactly.
So in that same fashion, when that effort going towards building business in that kind of giver's gain mentality, and I'll say heart set, because it really is about giving first, and receiving as a byproduct. I've seen a lot of amazing things happen outside of BNI by using those same functions that were learned in BNI in the regular business world too.
And it also adds a different facet to conversations for me as well. Just because now I am able to connect people, to ask that question, of everyone now that I meet, hey, what do you need? Who do you need to see? Who do you need to meet? And now I already have a group of people, a pool of people to pull from, even if they aren't necessarily directly related to that business, but that can recommend somebody to me. And that's huge. And that makes me an additional asset to, the properties and people that I work with, So, I am doing everything that I can to basically put back into the group and to draw as much inspiration from the people around me, to be able to sell their businesses as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I want to know more about the Comfort City Mechanical part specifically, though, so people can who maybe haven't had the depth of conversation with you yet, or aren't even in our group, but they found our channel or they're watching this episode. What do people need to know about Comfort City Mechanical? What you do, who you help, why you help them, and what kind of things they should expect from the service that you provide.
So we haven't initially said this, but what we are is a HVAC and plumbing company. heavily more so on the HVAC side, but you know, we do plumbing as well. I don't really like to obviously broadcast that amongst the group just because we already have that subset in the group. So, but we started about, I think we're 7 years in the business now, which obviously isn't an extensive history, but our founder, Al Orozco, he has over 20 years of experience in the field. He helped build one of the biggest HVAC companies in San Diego County initially, and he decided to go into business for himself. Comfort City Mechanical Inc., what you can expect from us is fair treatment, fair price, honesty amongst everything else. I think that it gets lost in any construction or any facet where repairs are being done. Honesty is not necessarily the biggest dollar maker for a lot of companies. And I'm not here to disparage anybody, but we all know, we've all dealt with the contractors that say, hey, if you've owned a house or have had any issues, you know, where you had to provide it, get a service provided for you, where people want to upsell you. They want to sell you on the most expensive thing. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've gone out to houses. This just recently happened. So my daughter goes to the language academy. It's over by San Diego State. And we often donate to the school. And we work closely with that school for any products that they might need. One of the parents that is the president of one of the clubs there, she needed some work done in her house. And she was told by the other plumbing company that, hey, we have to replace all of these pipes. It's about 30 to 40 feet of pipe. Bust up your floor, you know, pull up your front lawn. And it went up through the roof, so we have to tear the wall out. And it was like $80,000 of plumbing work that they said that needed to be done. So she just randomly driving by one day. She's like, oh, because we have a sign up on, because we donate to the school. So there's a Comfort City Mechanical sign up. She's like, I'm going to give them a call. So she gave us a call. We went out. Turns out all she needed was what's called a descaling, which is to take any buildup off of her pipe so that water and particulates don't get caught while they're on their way out. And we did that service for a few $100s.
Oh my gosh! Wait, what? Hold on, $80,000 bid down to like less than $1,000.
Yes,
but for a completely different solution.
Yes.
And that solution lasts like what? Still the rest of the lifetime of the pipes that's in, right? Because if someone's talking about a repipe, there's typically like there's a failure point in the line somewhere, or it just becomes. Oh man!
But they didn't provide any evidence, and a lot of times companies, they don't provide evidence for these things. They tell you one thing. What we did is we ran a camera down the drain. Hey, you know, we took video. Hey, look at this. This is what we're seeing. We're not seeing much here. We're not seeing any protrusions from roots or anything. We're not seeing any real damages here. They had some small, you know, roots growing in, but the descaler handles that. It'll just chop it up. And so he's like, hey, you know, let's try it out. So we did it. They have not had one issue. I follow up with them routinely too. Just call them randomly. Hey, how's it going over there? How's it looking? Is it still draining? They have not had any issues with that since we've done it.
Wow.
And they were thinking about how they were going to possibly have to maybe refinance their home and do all these things to pay for these repairs. So that's what you run into a lot of times, you know, when dealing with, not to say that we're not for profit, but when dealing with salespeople.
Yeah, there's a difference between, like, every business it has to operate in a position of profit because that's how you stay open. But there's a big difference after that point in how you go after obtaining that profit and what lengths you go to I'll say ethically do it versus unethically do that. Yeah. Because I'm sure that if they weren't told by you, they probably would have felt that they were doing the absolute right thing by spending that money and getting the whole repipe and letting them do the whole thing. They probably would not have known any different, except that is a very stark contrast between how a situation can be portrayed and sold one way versus the way that you're telling us now. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
We are talking about business here, and to some people in business, ethics are suggestive, right? So it is not necessarily bilaterally looked at the same way. What's ethical and what's not ethical. At the end of the day, they'll we still do a service to help that customer out, and we're still providing. Now they're never going to have to worry about this again. That's the way that they ethically probably can sleep at night. I would assume.
Yeah.
But to me, you want to do the right thing for every customer that you come in contact with. And that's really, the grassroots of why we started this company, why we chose to build this company, because there are not a lot of people that, will treat you like they would their own mom, right? And we are a family-owned business. So our founder is my father-in-law. And I work side by side with my wife to run the business on a daily basis. And we treat everyone, like they're a member of our family, like truly, and I think that having that experience, to me, will grow us organically. I'd hate to have us be on the opposite end of the spectrum of that conversation where, hey, this guy on the HVAC side basically told me I need to replace my system. And all I had was a failure at X, Y, and Z. This is just happening right now when I was on the phone in the car. A company came out to this lady's residence and told her she needed to replace her entire HVAC system, and she was concerned because she's now, I guess when she initially installed it in 2013, the ceiling was open. And so they were able to just drop the system in, perfectly fine. Now the system's closed, obviously. So if they need a new system, they have to tear a hole in the roof. And, obviously she was distressed over that. So I'm like, when did you have your system installed? It was in 2013. Air conditioning systems typically last between 20, 25 years. So I don't think you need a new system. Let us come and take a look at it at least. Because she initially called just for us to give her a bid on replacing the system. And it's like, I want your money. I will do that. But let's make sure this is what you need. I had the same conversation with her I'm having with you right now, because everybody's not 100% honest. They send salespeople out. Salespeople are there to make money. Let us check it out. Let's see what we can do. Might be something, really inexpensive for you to fix. So that's what I was currently dealing with in the car. So really just standing on that, trying to be, think if it was me, how would I want to be treated? How would I want somebody to treat my mom? And that's how I operate every day. That's how we operate every day. Sure, we could be more lucrative if we just decided to give proposals for work, because I can beat that guy's price. But at the end of the day, if you don't need it, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. Ethics are huge with me.
So do you like draw a line from that you're explaining us now? Like that's so awesome that you could just share all that and really embody kind of the tone and the attitude of the business.
Yeah.
But I also know that's done by people.
Yes.
So people bring this to it, or they introduce it to the business, and then everyone's expected to kind of like carry that out, yes. Right? Downstream, everything needs to flow from this place.
Yes.
So can you draw a straight line from your own life where something that was either taught to you young or something you learned along the way, becoming an adult and a mature person into a career of whatever, like, is there something that stands out that like you're like, oh, I know this is why that's like that?
I have a strong sense of justice and fairness. And that just comes directly from, my childhood and how I was raised. I grew up in, not to get too sappy with it, but in, a household with a father that was not great by any means. And he didn't always treat us fairly, and there was no justice in that. So outwardly, what I decided to put into the world from that was fairness and justice, if I can, And I think we all have footprints we're going to leave behind. I don't want my footprints to be the guy that we're trying to get over or the guy that went under. I want to be the guy that stands up. So that's directly where, my personal principle comes from. And that's what reflects in our business choices as well.
And at that point, though, the way, even hearing you deliver it that way, it makes it easy to do business in that manner that you're describing, because it's walking with you.
Yeah.
It's literally you everywhere you go, every interaction you have, every person, every opportunity is an opportunity, but with this attitude and this approach. I mean, that's solid, bro.
At my peril at sometimes, right? Because it's like I'm
I
fighting
get that.
for fairness
at
times and, to no end.
But there's sometimes you might be, again, and I know there's some other situations I've been in business too, where you might be offering them the right solution, the right thing, but they actually don't want that type of help. And sometimes people, and again, I'm going to use the word you used earlier. I'm not going to disparage any person, but sometimes people don't see what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
They just see their problem. They're trying to make a choice, but they don't see that part that you're bringing to the table. Or if they do see it, sometimes there's other people that they don't care. Like
every interaction to me is planting a seed. Every single interaction. So, and then when you get to retouch with the person, it's watering that seed, right? So, I take that analogy because you can very easily also kill that plant, right? From overwatering, or so you want to be able to nourish every, in every conversation you have needs to be one of, to me, I try to not have every interaction be a cold interaction.
Yeah.
I try to, I get into my psychological bag. A lot of times when dealing with people, I'll look around at their office spaces and I'll try to draw inspiration on how can I dig into that person so that, we could leave here and I'll be thought of, basically. And most of us like to be asked about ourselves. Let's face it, right? We like to be heard for the most part. So, that's where I take most of my interactions. It's just a learning process every time I'm dealing with people. I'm learning every day. I say this all the time. The only thing that I know for sure is that I don't know anything. So
that you don't know. Hold on. That you don't know anything, or you don't know everything.
I don't know. I don't know everything about anything.
Yeah.
I
get what you mean.
I just say anything, but I don't know.
I get what you mean.
I don't know everything about anything. Right? There's always a but or and to every situation. Yeah. So, when you go in, obviously it works a little bit differently. We know what's wrong with your systems, people. Okay, we know what's wrong with your plumbing. It's not a guessing game for us. We're not playing Guess Who out here. But when it comes to, again, everything's a person-to-person interaction. Things aside, right? Everything is this: two people having a conversation. Everything is that. And so, if you could make those pleasant for people, if you can make yourself trustworthy in people's eyes, then they'll remember you and they'll continue to do business with you. And, hopefully that seed can grow into a nice lasagna tree.
A nice lasagna tree. Man, listen, I'll tell you right now, if they made lasagna trees and if they sold those at Home Depot, Lowe's, or anywhere else that sells that's got a garden area, I'd be buying a lasagna plant. I'd be buying the lasagna plant.
First in line.
Me and the lasagna are friends. I promise I don't have any cheesy jokes. Actually, I do have cheesy jokes, but I think Mark Johnson gives me a run for my money, bro.
Yeah.
That guy.
I've definitely had my interactions with him, and we laugh a lot. So,
dang.
But he hasn't. I haven't gotten the dad joke side of him yet. So. Maybe I need to.
Did you hear the odd jobs joke he told the other day? Did you hear it? Maybe. He was talking about how this guy gets the handyman to come over because his wife had made a list of all these things that need to be done at the house, and he labeled them 1 through 5, and the handyman's done, hands him back the list, and only 1, 3, and 5 are checked off. Turns out the handyman only does odd jobs.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's clever. That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's the kind of joke that would get me kicked out of my daughter's room immediately. Dad,
go.
Get out, Dad.
Get out. Yeah. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I don't know how old you are. I'm 46. When I was a kid, I would stay up late on Saturday night and I would watch Saturday Night Live. And then immediately after Saturday Night Live, Showtime at the Apollo was on.
Yes.
And dude, you tank, bro. That clown's coming out. You're getting
that too, brother.
You're getting the cane, bro. You're done.
I wasn't allowed to be on the Saturday Night Live train, but I definitely had my fair share of Showtime at the Apollo.
Dude, it was. I loved it because it's like pure instantaneous feedback.
Yeah.
You're either bombing it or you're like killing it, and
you know.
And yeah, and it's like No, and everyone who goes and does, you have to know what you're gonna get. Like you shouldn't be going in there blind. Like, I wonder what everyone's gonna treat me like. No. You're either gonna be loved or absolutely hated.
But there have been a lot of success stories of people who've been booed off stage.
I know. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true too.
So,
no, that's true.
I mean, it takes something to get yourself out there, just like in business.
But
right?
there's always a story behind that though, because you get booed or kicked off stage. Like, okay, and if that career shows up over here in the timeline, then someone went and did work. Someone went and really worked on that craft, fixed whatever was wrong, and like they still made it somehow. I was just watching the SNL 50th anniversary, and I didn't know how many people did not make it on the show, but they're popular comedians and writers now. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean they didn't make the show?
Geniuses.
Like, they're over here.
Yeah.
How they didn't get picked up? That's crazy to me. So I didn't know that. I didn't know this.
And that goes to show you again, it's about one interaction. They had one chance to audition. One chance. Applies to both of us. Got one chance to audition for a customer. The Sandman's either coming and pulling us off stage, or we're having a flourishing career on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
One or the other. So,
yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is definitely relatable in just, business growth in general.
Yeah. Do you have like a, I'm sure you do. You have to. Why am I even prefacing this? Tell me a business story that it just really sticks out as really memorable, where that what you guys did or how you did it was just so meaningful to the person on the receiving side.
Meaningful to the person on the receiving end of it.
Little old lady, heater, furnace is broken. She's got, two nickels to rub together, something like that, where man, we just changed this person's life.
I just helped a customer out just recently. It was probably about a month ago. And he was here from out of town. He was from Connecticut, and his dad was in the hospital. And I guess their furnace had completely tanked, and his dad was going to be getting out of the hospital, and he didn't know what to do basically at this point, because his dad gets out the hospital, he can't be in a cold house, right? And he was in Spring Valley, where in the back part where it gets pretty cold. So he had no idea what to do, but his dad was getting out the hospital. He needed to do something soon, right? So we came out, we took a look at it, and we're like, this system is 35 years old, 40 years old, brother. It's DNR, do not resuscitate. So he's like, you know what? I have no idea what I'm going to do here. My dad's getting out. He cannot be in this house, obviously where it's cold. It's a life or death situation for him, basically. And, he's going to be out in a couple of days. No idea what I'm going to do at this point, And I'm like, you know what? Let me see what I can do. So typically it's just difficult to get a hold of, parts and units. And I was able to, my wife and I were able to scrunch up the material for the customer, and went out the next day, popped it in. Very easy transition. I had conversations with him the whole time. Hey, how you doing? How you feeling over there? What can we do for you? He was a little disappointed that I didn't show up myself. But obviously I can't go out to every, unless there's an issue, then obviously I'll pop out there. But we were able to install the system for him, worked perfectly fine afterwards. My guys were done pretty late at night, so I texted him late at night, hey, how's it going? And he didn't respond. I'm like, oh, shoot, I hope everything's fine there. The next day, he's like, I'm sorry, my wife flew in. I had to go pick her up. But, this is just amazing how you guys were able to do this on such short notice for me. My dad's obviously going to get out the hospital, and I don't have to worry about him now. I don't have to worry about when I leave, obviously, what's going to happen to him as well. He was like, the system obviously works better than it ever has before. And, we obviously did it very quickly. We didn't charge him a ton of money. I mean, cost it to obviously do the system. But he was able to come to an end of that project and be completely satisfied with what we did for him. And obviously, now he doesn't have to worry about his father being, getting himself in deeper trouble by returning to his own house, basically.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm sure you have a lot of, other stories like that where, people are in a pinch, and you're in that same kind of business category where it's like a break fix. A lot of computer stuff is kind of like that. Like, oh, when this breaks, oh, I need your help.
Yes.
Or, oh, this ain't working the way it's supposed to be, like fully optimized. Come and check it out. Right. Yes. So I'm sure you end up finding people a lot that are in the place of distress or discomfort.
Yes.
And I actually didn't mean to intentionally say discomfort
with
for Comfort City,
Yeah.
but this episode's been brought to you by Comfort City Mechanical Inc.
Not paying the $13 for this one.
But like, I think there's something that I've noticed over the course of years that the businesses that stay around in that, so the businesses that find people in that place that also have a real long lifespan as a company, it's because they really just truly care. It's well beyond what happens on the bottom line of the spreadsheet at the end of the P&L.
Yeah.
It's that that's what's going on. And even if they are stressed or a little unruly at some point, it's coming from a place of frustration and stress, and they're
You'll see a quote on my emails, and I really love it. So it's Albert Einstein: "Only a life worth lived is a life lived in service to others," and I truly believe that. Right? I mean, we could have all the things and do all the things, but what makes you feel better granularly as a person is doing things for other people, and you understand that you, regardless of what your belief system or anything else is, that when it gets down to it, we're all here together. We got to share this place together. Let's make it easier for one another. That's what I try to do.
There's gonna be some awesome sound bites when I cut this all up, man. I'm just like, oh, let him go. Let's let it come. The only thing I just make sure you say it loud enough in the mic so that people can hear it in the back.
Yeah, I'm trying to maintain my distance without.
No, you're good. No, these are sensitive, man. Get right on it.
Yeah.
You're good. You mentioned that you've done a podcast before, though, so I want to talk about that. So, like, what's the backstory? What were you doing podcasts over?
So a good friend of mine, has a podcast that he was doing for a while, and he does news and current events, but for more of a how do I put this? Risque kind of point of view. Like, he puts his he's not necessarily the most politically correct person, so he does it from he's from East Oakland in LA. I mean in
the Bay Area,
California, and so that's how he delivers it.
Yeah.
And so he
real
asked me to start. So he asked me to start with him, and I would give my perspective. I'm from Washington D.C. We're from two different sides of the place, but two sides of the country. But where we grew up were very similar places. So that was our relationship. That's how, we met each other in college and maintained a friendship. And he's still, probably my best friend today. And so, I was doing a podcast with him, man, and it's just two guys joking around, having a good time.
Yeah.
Not necessarily having always appropriate conversation, but, just giving our, real thoughts and everything on, where society is today, and any current events or news that was happening at the time. And I stopped doing it like a couple years ago. Just got busier with work, but I'm definitely very familiar with the microphone, and so that's how I'm comfortable with this situation.
Yeah. Did you ever do anything like performance wise when you were growing up? Like, were you into music? Were you into?
My family is a very musical family. My family has platinum selling gospel records.
Wait, whoa!
Back in the 70s.
Hold on.
It's called the Jackson Singers of Washington D.C.
Do you hear that? You hear what's happening right now? This is the kind of stuff I keep telling y'all it happens here. Someone just drops this thing.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they were called the Jackson Singers. I had an uncle that played the bass guitar in the group. My other uncle played the drums for the group. Another uncle was a singer in the group as well, the lead singer of the group as well. So, that's the DNA that I came from. Now, obviously, I grew up in church as well, and, just singing in church too. So I do have some of that background. I was always in like either gifted programs. I did, shows. I was on stage in front of people. And other than that, sports. I've played sports and on that stage my entire life as well. And, in front of a microphone being interviewed for sports and things of that nature as well. So, yeah.
What'd you play?
So, in high school, I played football, basketball. I ran track, and I played volleyball.
So everything?
Pretty much,
What'd you play? D, all the above.
Yeah, but,
so you did track
I excelled. So I'm going to date myself.
All-around athlete.
But 2002, I was the San Diego high jump champion.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah. So
how high?
So I did
Because I can't do this, so I totally respect this.
6'7".
What?
Yeah. So yeah, I was the same.
Oh my gosh.
Back then, I played. Basketball was my number one sport, and I actually went to college to play basketball and did some basketball after that as well.
Where'd you play at?
So I played at a few places. So I played. I initially started here at Southwestern College. Then I went up to college at the desert in Palm Springs. And then I went to Northridge, and I played over at Northridge. So yeah. And then afterwards, I played a little bit in the NBA Development League and stuff like that. So yeah.
Get out of here! What?
Yeah. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. That was my initial passion, and obviously things work out how they work out. So yeah, that was kind of what helped make this guy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of bring this all back around. So you have family that are into essentially gospel entertainment, and
they were. This was
right.
back in like the
back 70s. In the 70s, right?
My mom currently is a choir director at a church out here in San Diego.
Oh yes.
And
I love it.
One of my brothers is a deacon, and my other brother is obviously in the choir with them and everything. So I have a very musical family, musical background. I did not inherit the gene. I played like drums at one point, but I'm not doing that now. So I'm not actively.
No joke. You don't know what you're like hovering over. So literally last night we're in the backyard sitting around the fire, and my middle daughter has her laptop open. She's got all these questions she's asking me and mom, and she says, "Dad, what is one thing musically you'd like to be able to do but can't?" I played drums since I'm 14 years old. Okay, and my answer was, play gospel chops like they're built in me, not like I have to think about it. That was my answer.
Listen, my uncle, and I'm not even just saying this
because I can't. It's not built in me, but I can fake it.
Yeah.
But you can also know, that guy has to work. Yeah, he was working at it. It's not just there. You know what I
mean? Without hyperbole, my uncle is one of the greatest people I've ever seen. And I've gone to see a ton of professional bands. Like me and my wife used to go to concerts all the time, and watching my uncle play the drums is like going back and watching a Shakespeare.
Dude, you have to show me. You have to tell me who he is. I want to watch it.
He is.
You have to show me.
Amazing. I will send you some videos, and I'm sure there's plenty of stuff like on YouTube. He still plays currently. Like he's in all kinds of bands and stuff like that back on the East Coast. But just absolutely amazing. Just growing up watching him and his passion for it, and you got sweat flying everywhere and his tie.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's it.
It was in him, right? Like you talked about. Like it was. You can tell with some people that they're playing the music outwardly, and then some people the music is playing through them.
It's coming from it's coming from them. Yeah,
exactly.
100%. I get it.
This thing still exists. Like the music exists.
Yes,
and you're just the instrument in which I get to listen to.
That's right. It's that way with singers too.
Yeah.
So my daughters can sing. My wife is a very, very good singer, and it comes through her and out of her. It's not her trying to do something.
Yes.
It's not. She's not up there trying to do it. Like it. She's just doing it, but it's all because it's coming from that. It's all from there.
I wish. I'm amazing in the shower like everyone.
There's a reason. There's a reason. When people ask me, "Hey, do you sing, Andy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I sing behind the drums, where the drums are still much louder than the singing." It's by design for a reason.
Yeah.
But the reason this is fascinating to me is because obviously you're clearly comfortable in this like setting.
Yeah.
Most people, bro. That's I know there's something going on because most people like. They're a little nervous. They're kind of like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, yeah, I'm sitting here. Cool. Sit down. Like, all right. I guess I don't have to tell you anything, which means you've been somewhere or something, whatever. So
I've done it a few times. I'm definitely, I don't shy away from the camera or crowds. I've given speeches in front of.
Well, you're playing all these sports. You're good at it, clearly, if you're being pursued in these other levels.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about having the microphone put in your in your mouth, in your face to do an interview, it's like, okay, so you've had to, cut your teeth a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get used to a microphone, but it doesn't necessarily, because everybody's just not comfortable. Even if you have it, there are professional athletes that still are very uncomfortable.
Sure.
Marshawn Lynch, famously, I'm just here so I
don't
get fined.
Oh my God. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Dude, I tried to say that once in a family fight, and that did not go over very well.
Yeah. probably not the best time to bring up
I was
Marshawn Lynch quote.
Well, I had nothing else to say, first of all, and I was like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. And everyone was like this. I was like, oh, shoot. Now so right before saying that, I was like, this can't get any worse. And then I said that.
Remember earlier where I said that, only thing I know is that I don't know anything?
That's that.
Well, I know not to say that. I know not to do that.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. It's a funny line. It's a funny line in the right context.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about practice? We talking about practice?
Yeah. So many quotables from
man.
sports.
Dude.
But I really, like me, I try to draw inspiration from anything and everything. I think that, I'm a nerd. I listen to a lot of TED Talks and, things I have no idea about. My, me personally, my idea of, what we're experiencing right now is that we just are here to experience it, right? So I want to experience everything. I want to get every perspective that I possibly can on anything in existence. I'm a nerd, so I like to hear about science and, exploration and, listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast. And so really, I listen to
that's some heady stuff, bro.
Yeah, one of my favorite shows to watch is Andy Cruz's BNI podcast as well.
This episode's been brought to you by Comfort City Mechanical Inc. Wow.
But I just like to be informed, just overall as a person. I know you were asking about me personally. I just like to be informed about everything. I know a little bit I can hold a conversation with pretty much anybody about anything.
Sure.
I may not know all about it.
Is it just because you're curious? You're not using the word curious, but you're saying these things are all rooted in curiosity.
Yeah, everything. I'm just curious about everything. And
have you always been that way though? Like when you were a kid, you were curious about everything too.
I mean, one of the gifts I remember the most is a little red microscope I got as a kid. And just being curious about everything, just trying to take a little piece of anything that I could find so I could look under a microscope. And,
oh, wow.
And it's, what does this look like? What does this little piece of chicken fat look like under a microscope, And I think a lot of that had to do with Bill Nye the Science Guy. Shout out to you if you ever.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
A lot of it had to do with him, but, and just watching KPBS growing up, just always just maintaining my curiosity. And I've always been that way, right? And so, again, when I get back to saying not knowing anything is because I'm still curious about it. Even if somebody has a concrete answer, then why? Why is that the answer? Why is this the color black,
How did we get to this absolute?
Exactly.
And if we are in these places where there are certain absolutes, how do we just end up at, okay, that's it?
Because I know it, and I just in general know everything is just a construct and we made everything up as well. This is not a microphone, it's just
that's what we call it.
Name we gave it, right? So, yeah.
There's a story. Darn it, this is the second time I'm referencing this story, and I need to go back and exactly cite the person and the time, but I'll tell you the kind of the gist of it was at some point, someone in the government at the patent office said, we should close this department because everything that has and will be invented has been done so. Yeah, and I don't remember I'm going to have to look that up post-show, but maybe I'll put it in the description or something. But that's come up twice recently, and I've said it twice while recording and not being able to cite it now. Well, this is the second time. I'm actually going to have to lock that one down, so that way I can actually really reference it and give proper credit to the person. It's fascinating that I can meet you there, man. I am so interested in a lot of different things, in a variety of things, and the depth of those things too. Because there's this part of me that grew up when I was a kid. There was this book I had called "The Way Things Work," and it was an illustrated book. Hand-drawn with explanation on how mechanical things worked, and it was part physics, part science, but it was illustrated with cavemen and animals doing the work or carrying the load, lifting the thing, turning the whatever.
That's interesting that they decided to do that, but
yeah, right. But
why? Exactly.
Right. It's such a weird why. But I was fascinated with the way things work. Yeah. And so me learning how something functions or understanding how it's optimized, man, I'm so curious about that because I want the most out of everything. Yeah, I want to extract the most I can.
When I was a kid, again, going back to that, if something broke, I was a tinkerer. So it was already broken. I could take it apart, see how it works, see if I can fix something, see if I can put it back together. And I'm still that way now, if something breaks, especially if I spend money on it, man. I just recently had some Beats headphones just stop working. I'm like, dude, I know I bought these years ago, but I paid like $400 for these.
Oof.
I'm gonna get these things working. So I completely took them apart and did some electrical soldering and stuff like that. And hey, they work perfectly now. But and I knew nothing about that. But
had you ever soldered anything before?
Never in my life. I just bought it.
You just like,
I just bought it. I'm like, I can figure this out.
Soldered my headphones back together.
Yeah, never done it in my life. But I'm like, look, the soldering kit was like $19. I'm like, the worst thing that can happen is
it doesn't work and you got to get a new.
And I'm in the same place that I'm. So
sure,
I can at least try to repair these. And you know, I did burn a hole in the side of the hip, so there's a hole in there. So I didn't do a perfect job, but they work.
They work,
and you know. That I guess that's the outcome I was looking for.
I respect that. I super respect that. There's a parallel because not parallel. There's a correlation though, because when I first started like BNI, I kind of thought I understood. And then when I was a director for BNI and had to like teach the system, I understood the system from the inside and really getting into like the nuts and the bolts of it. And then it's really actually outwardly helped my personal membership in BNI because of having to illustrate, demonstrate, and show and teach why certain things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And it's because they've been refined over this multi-decade long system. And I've received such benefit from it. I even recently on a show I did with Ed, the owner of the San Diego region, I was telling him how I use the form and function of the one-to-one worksheets in non-BNI meetings that I have with somebody. Yeah. Like, what are your goals and interests and accomplishments, network, skills? Tell me about your family. Where'd you grow up? Yeah. Like, I in my mind, I'll go page by page through that. It's blank until I'm asking all those questions because I'm just like,
that's called indoctrination.
I'm just laying that. I'm laying that. It would be cool if everyone else did that.
Yeah.
Right. No. Side note: Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, has this funny story. Is he goes, years ago, people used to call BNI a cult. And he goes, you know how I know it's not a cult? Because if it was a cult, everyone would do all the things we teach that work. And since they don't, I don't know how you can get away with calling us a cult.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm saying I can utilize my understanding of that thing and the function of it in multiple different situations and gain knowledge about how I could best help that person.
If nothing else, I mean, look, at the very least, you'll learn how to communicate with people and get to know people. I mean, I think that's really lost in today's society anyways, right? I mean, we don't have conversations anymore. It's more text messages and emails. So I think there's an art to conversation that has been lost, especially in a professional setting, that has been lost. And so I think that gets us back to that, the root of it. And I think that, like you said, you can take that and you can pack that anywhere and take, like defense, it always travels.
Hey, defense travels. I love it. Another sports one. But it's almost like everyone has just been okay with the terms of yelling insults at each other from afar without consequence. Yes. And it's like, no, if you sat there and said that in front of me, I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Yeah. Or if I say that, you're going to punch me in the mouth, or we're going to go outside and go see what happens, right? And I don't mean that to be like,
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, though.
But like, there's a lot of stuff
that's been taken away.
But we've just accepted the fact that the left's gonna be mad at the right, the top's gonna be mad at the bottom, the bottom's gonna be mad at the top, and everyone can be allowed to be just as mad and furious at each other without any consequence and also without any course correction.
Yeah, I think that a problem with that is we also live in an age where we can get caught in vacuums, and
100%.
We are a bit self-deprecating in that, and we have obviously our own biases and algorithms and everything like that, and it leads you to believe that you're always right because everything confirms that for you. We always have confirmation with everything and everything. And you have to, and in business is so important, you have to be able to step back and say, all right, I know our position in this. What is their position and why? And be able to insert yourself over there so that a common ground can be met. And, a lot of times that just doesn't happen because we've gotten in the world, like you said before, where it's just, we get so used to doing it.
Yeah.
It's the norm now.
Yeah. It's like everyone seems to have agreed that these are our new terms of engagement. It's like, well, I don't always agree with that. Yeah. I want to sit and talk to people, and I want to have conversations like this, and I want to learn and be curious and have my curiosity at least met with some sort of interaction, even if it's not a full answer. At least let's discuss whatever the thing is.
Whenever I feel to me, it just personally, whenever I start to get like a visceral feeling about something, if we're having a conversation and something you says pisses me off, pardon my French, or upsets me, I go to the why. Like, why did that upset me? Why did I allow that to upset me? And then I always pull it back to myself. I don't think a lot of that happens. There's not a lot of self-examination that happens anymore, because we just are moving so fast that a lot of times people just don't take that time to step back.
And unless it's expected or required of you, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's part of it too. And maybe that's actually the undertone of what I was saying a minute ago, is maybe that's what it is. Maybe that self-reflection isn't enough a part of what we expect with and for each other, and having awareness of ourselves in the situation.
Too much of that. Let me tell you this. The other day, I went to the gym like a month ago, right? And I walked in the gym and I had to buzz in, and the guy's like, "Hey, thank you. Have a great workout." And I said, "You too." For the rest of the day, and still to this day, I'm like, "You too?
You too?"
What would I say? Because immediately after it, I said it. I'm like, "Why did I say that? Why did I say you too?" The whole time I'm working out, the rest of the day, even today, I'm like, "Dude, why did I say that?"
That's hilarious.
I definitely have the ability to look at myself and to laugh at myself as
That's
well,
funny.
because I think that's lost too.
Yeah.
Being able to laugh at yourself,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
you don't take this life thing too seriously.
Yeah.
None of us are going to make it out alive, right?
But you know what? I bet that guy was taking his job super person that I'm gonna buzz everyone in with purpose today. He told me you too. Now I'm gonna two-finger buzz in.
Maybe
yeah.
it was some motivation. Maybe it wasn't, or maybe he worked out that day and he wasn't planning on it.
Oh my God, you too. You know what?
There could have been something.
Hand press.
But
You're
the only
in.
thing that I know about that interaction is that I left with the, with the sense of self-stupidity.
I'm pretty sure you were just fine.
I'm sure I was too.
Oh,
but
that's hilarious.
I always live on conversations that I have. And I think it's important for us to do that, because you got to examine every interaction that you have with people. And you have to be able to be willing to accept fault if there's some, right? If there's a situation as well, going back to business. If we make a mistake, I stand on it. We didn't do the right thing. Well, we didn't. We tried to do the right thing. It felt for you. We'll fix it. That's all we can do in this business. We can make a million repairs. There's gonna be jobs where we have to revisit. It's just the nature of the business, and accepting that. And I never try to push anything back on the customer and say, "Hey, you know what? It's I know we did it, but this could have been some." No, if we had any onus in it, own it, fix it, move on. That's it. And to me, it's just very simple.
Yeah.
Life is way simpler than we make it.
Yeah, that just goes back to that walking around with you all the time we were talking about at the very top of the show. It's like that's just part of you. You embody it. It goes with you everywhere you go. And so it makes everything at that level easy to do, because you're not willing to accept anything below that standard. Yeah. So
now, don't ask my wife about that, because I don't always do that with her. But
yeah.
But I try, I try. Once I can see the light.
So I need to respect and honor your time too. So you probably more times passed than you might have felt like it has. So I want to make sure I get you out of here in time. So I have my final two questions we're going to have to race to, because honestly, we could have this conversation for 4 more hours.
No problem.
Or more.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you last two because we're already at time. So Here we are. So I'm going to hand you a microphone. You're in front of an audience of 100,000 people in a stadium, and you get to thank somebody. I know there's lots of people you could probably want to thank. Who is someone you'd want to take a moment to thank, and what would you say?
Let's see.
Say it closely to the mic so we can share it with them.
I would definitely want to thank my wife for just being side by side with me in this business that is hectic, can be chaotic, that's male dominated. When her opinion on things isn't always accepted, like it would be if it came from a man. We unfortunately still live in that society. We're moving away from it, but we still live there in some cases. So, and not only that, obviously, as just being the mother of my children and dealing with all of my perfect imperfections. So yeah, I think she would definitely be the person that I thanked, the most.
So the last one is dead or alive. Who would you want to share a meal with?
The person I would want to share a meal with, dead or alive, would be, give me a second here.
gonna run a promo for Comfort City Mechanical in between.
Yeah, in between
Yeah, right now you're gonna have the logo bouncing across the screen. I'm gonna put some elevator music.
That was a game to me to try to.
Yeah, you want to see if it hits the corner?
Yeah,
it's okay, Frank. You keep thinking. The ad's running right now. It's not happening in the room. It's happening in post right now with the elevator music and everything, bro. Yeah.
I think that it would be Neil deGrasse Tyson. I know I talked about him earlier, but I think that he has a unique ability not only to be just like a genius when it comes to, his scientific discipline, but also on social matters as well. I don't think that you get a lot of that from people that, you look at like Warner von Braun and all those people usually try to just stick to themselves, right? These geniuses over time, and I think that he obviously has all the information from everybody that existed previously, or I would say Albert Einstein, because he was another guy that was like that. But he has that information already, right? So, he's on the frontier of what's new, what's out there. So having a conversation with him and, seeing what his thoughts are on, current events, on, reality itself, on, spirituality, everything, I think that would be a great dinner / dessert, / I'll call you again tomorrow morning for breakfast and lunch. And
I'm gonna have to digest everything you said, and I'm gonna go follow up questions tomorrow. Exactly. That's a great referral opportunity, by the way. If any of you know Neil deGrasse Tyson, you can introduce him to Frank Egypt.
Please do.
At Comfort City. This episode's been brought to you by Comfort City Mechanical Inc. That's a great answer. I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I always love hearing everyone's answers, and I say that every single time, so I've said it a lot of times now, but it's so fun for me doing this because I get to learn a lot more about people, and we get to have conversations that we may not be having outside of this setting. I think some of it that comes here is that the setting kind of self-creates some of these things. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you are in our group. I'm so grateful that you're with us, and I'm really excited to learn more about you personally. You shared so many interesting things to me that now I'm like, oh my gosh, these are all just like the starting block of like, now I want to know more about that and this thing and the other thing.
I mean, to me, like, obviously I lived a life, so it's just like, these are things, but I get it all the time. Like, what you did? What? Like, who?
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's a common thing that anyone who comes here, they think they've done something that they think is like normal or like whatever, or just kind of, somewhat notable. But to someone else, like, wait, what? You really did that? That's amazing. Like, that's impressive to someone on the outside looking
like
in.
The time, Kawhi Leonard came to the gym to play basketball, and
dude, that guy's hands though.
He lost to me though. He lost to me. This was his freshman year at San Diego State.
Come on, okay, go.
And he lost.
Come on,
to me.
we're in overtime. It's on you. Go for it.
Okay,
go for it.
No, just he showed up. I still see his little friend with him that he takes everywhere on his trips. But they came up there, and with his little basketball friends and the basketball team, and me, just a bunch of ragtag guys, and he was actually guarding me. And we went to 15. I scored like 8 or 9 out of the 15 points that my team had, and we beat them. And then his friend was like yelling at him afterwards, like, "What are you doing? Like, how is this guy?" And it's like, you have no idea what my background is, buddy. Like, I know I just some random guy at the gym to you.
I didn't just show up this morning.
Yeah, I didn't just wake up this morning and decide I was going to come to the gym and play basketball today.
Yeah.
So I definitely have a lot of experience playing against NBA guys and just over time.
That's super cool. See, that's it. I'm like, that's super cool. And you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I've beat up on them for the most part.
Take a pound of flesh here and there.
Yeah. But,
all right.
I mean, they're obviously making millions and millions of dollars to do it. And I was just a guy at the gym that day, so.
Yeah, but you know what they're not doing? They're not putting HVAC systems in a guy's house whose dad's coming out of the hospital and needs to have a warm house so he can live, okay?
Exactly.
There's value in that.
There's value in everything. Just got to see it.
Oh, man, we have to do this again. Dude.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. I really, honestly, this has been so enjoyable. Absolutely. I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you for being part of the BNI Partners In Excellence show and visiting us every single week with a brand new guest. I can't wait to have you host this, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch. You're going to have this seat someday, and someone else is going to sit there. Yeah. You got to pick someone. Like, tell someone right now in the chapter, like, hey, you and me, we're going to come and do this at Andy's studio. So who would you want to interview? If I put, I'll give you the host seat. You can take the... You pick the guest. Who's it going to be?
That's I don't know.
Mark Garza. All
That's what I'm
right.
gonna give you. I haven't learned enough about the people yet. You know, it's only been a few months since I've been in the group, and I haven't had one-to-ones with everybody in the group. And so the more I get to learn about people, the more questions I'm going to have. Naturally,
of course.
Right. So I think that's something I'll develop over time in the group to be able to say, okay, I definitely need to interview this person. And, but I think that all the conversations I've had within the group have come very naturally. It hasn't been any forced conversation. So I think that anybody would be a great interview for me if I was sitting in your seat. I don't have that name for you right now.
All right. We'll get one on the list. It's going to be Frank Egypt as the host, and one of y'all going to be the guest.
I'll do it.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for my tumbler. Cheers.
Of course.
Appreciate it. This episode has been brought to you today by Comfort City Mechanical. If you want to network with Frank and myself, you can meet us down at the Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita. That's right, the Chula Vista Golf Course in Bonita, 4475 Bonita Road. We're there every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Our meeting starts. Open networking starts at 6:45. You can click the link in the description box to register yourself and your company for an upcoming meeting. We hope to see you there. Franklin with Comfort City Mechanical Inc. Thank you for coming by the show. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and forward this to a friend. And we'll see you again next week with another great guest.